Hey everyone, and welcome to Shining Force CD part, 17. Let's say 17. So, we just had Keqing join the Force, and we've made some decisions. I have decided that Keqing is gonna get in and see some battle time. We took out Guyan. We gave Guyan a chance here. We gave him a chance, and he's not holding up his end of the bargain, let's say. So we sat him out. We're going to bring Keqing in, maybe for a battle or two. Who knows how long this man is going to last, but, I mean, if we compare Guyan to Keqing, like, Guyan's level 2, Keqing is level 1, but level 11 before he was promoted. They're kind of the same level, and, like, they look like the exact same unit. Only one guy's got 7 movement and the other guy's got 5. And, like, we tried Guyan, and maybe Guyan will come back. I also took Shade out. No reason. Shade's out there surviving. He's level 7. He's been a good unit for us. But we're gonna bring Sig in again. Let's get him some battle time. As I grow up, as I mature, I like to play these Shining Force games with a little bit more maturity, or a little bit more I'm not stuck to my force. Let's use everyone. Let's get everyone to have a turn. Unless it's Shining Force 1 or 2, where I am set in my ways. So we're about to head off to the next battle. We have just survived the Death Tunnel. And let's see what is out that door for us next time. Now, if you're looking at me, I was not planning to do the Leafs are out of the playoff podcast today, or video. So, you know, if you're here for Shining Force is going to happen. If you want to hear a perpetually frustrated Maple Leafs fan whine about his team, that might also happen. Wasn't planning on it. About a minute before this went live, I'm like, hey, wait, I haven't done my Leaf stream for the year, so let's see if we get into that. But first, we have Story. See that fort rising over the mountain? That's Gondal. They're in there, somewhere. Gates. Let's wait for the changing of the guard. Who's Gates? Ooh, that's a Minotaur. It's Gardenia's Shining Force. Azu and Geppel aren't here. Guards, kill them. So, looking at Keqing, you know, you got a pretty solid sprite there. I'd say his armor is much shinier than Apus's. So, you know, if you can, I mean, it probably should be. He is an original Shining Force member. Note the quotes, because you're not a Shining Force member. You are not Ken. You are not May. You are not Arthur. You are not Ernest. You are not Vankar. And you are not Pell. And that is all the freaking centaurs. Name them all. Bam. Got it. So let's take a look at this map. So is this a split up and conquer scenario? This is a split up and conquer scenario. Also, this game has done Keqing very dirty. You join, and then all of a sudden, it's forest and mountains. Forest and mountains. Here's a centaur on your team. Let's give him a chance. We're going to send him in underleveled, and we're going to push him through forest and mountains. So, we are going to split our force up. We're going to take Stock, Keqing, Apus, this way. We're going to take Domingo and Cray this way up the mountains, and we'll figure out the rest as we go. That's the amount of our plan. So, here's today's pain point. The Maple Leafs, once again, have lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Boston Bruins. It looked like it was going to be quick. They were down 3-1 with 1 win, and that would be it. But they did what the Leafs do. I told my friends this. I told my friend, was a big Rangers and Chicago fan. I was like, this series is going to go 7 games. The Leafs are going to come back, and then they're going to lose in Game 7. Because they are a maximum pain to their fans' team. They're not going to lose. They could have got down 3-0. And I would have placed bet upon bet upon bet upon bet that they would manage to come back to the series and either lay an egg in Game 7, which is something they could do. Lay an egg, proverbial meaning play a really bad game. But no, they played their hearts out, went to Game 7 overtime in Boston, in the nightmare that is TD Garden, a place of nightmares for that Toronto Maple Leaf team. Get to overtime. Actually, no. Get the lead with 10 minutes to go. Matthews to Nylander. The two Leafs who actually show up in the playoffs. And boom, the Leafs up 1-0. And then a minute and a half later, the Bruins score a relatively weak goal on Sergei Samsonov. Like, yeah, he could have had it, and that's gonna be the story for Samsonov in this game. Is there's a lot of stuff he could have had, but you know what? I'm gonna get out ahead on this right now. The guy allowed 2 freaking goals. He did his job. Does it matter that the 2 goals weren't good or weren't high quality? I mean, slightly. You'd like to see the goals that get scored to, have a little bit more oomph behind them or be a little more like you didn't have a chance. But like, he let in 2 goals. End of story. That should win you the game. Like, lay off the man. The team only scored a goal. 1 goal. And that's been this team's problem. That's been this team's problem for, let's I don't know, a long time. It hasn't been 7 years. Because the first few years, let's check the health of these Bow Knights, Bow Riders. 30. That's right, these guys have weak attacks. I mean, you don't have great defense either, but we're gonna get out here. We're gonna hit this one. But that's been the team's problem since, let's be honest, repeat of the last podcast, since they traded Kadri. They don't have scoring depth. And their stars get shut down either through, bad scoring chance creation and decisions, or just, they're playing the other team's best players because they get matched up against them. And they're playing the other team's best players not in the freaking Pacific Division. I mean, the amount of points that Connor McDavid gets to put up because he's playing weak teams is ridiculous. The Leafs are playing the Bruins. They're playing a team that knows how to play defense. Anyway, yeah, so overtime starts. It's back and forth. There's let's be honest, a pretty good play by the Bruins where they bank in the shot off the boards. David Pastrnak beats his man, pucks the puck in. Game over. Series over. Tears ensue. Well, let's talk about that goal. I know our force is not balanced here. Let's talk about that goal, but Nick is just... Can Nick do any wrong? So there's lots of blame that goes around on that goal. But I'm going to tell you something. That goal was talent and home ice advantage all bundled into one. I can't get mad at that goal. That's a good goal. Can I get mad that, Riley didn't notice the situation and keep up with Pastrnak? Yeah, I can get angry about that. Can I get angry? Oh, can I get angry? Can I get angry that Samsonov, for some reason, didn't come out and play the freaking puck that was, 6 feet in front of him? Yeah, I can get angry. And I know we just said this, don't blame Samsonov. And seriously, don't blame Samsonov. 2 goals into an OT game. That's not your fault they lost. But, I am a goalie. I am a goalie who does not like coming out and playing the puck. I have anxiety about it. I'm not freaking good at it. If I have a chance to let my defenseman play the puck, or me, by the way, Cray, you're a friggin' machine. But if I have the chance to let the goalie play the puck, or me, my defenseman play the puck, anyone on my team handle that puck, or me, someone else on my team handles that puck. I shy away from that crap. But, he didn't even have to play it. It's close enough to him that he could have put his stick out, brought it in, and covered the puck. It's a real bad decision, and I know there's a lot of people ready to pounce on him. And he deserves it for that. But also, 2 goals in Game 7. What more do you want from the guy? And I realize he's not going to be here much longer. This was kind of his last year. He didn't have the best year. Let's be honest here. But that is not his fault that they lost. I don't know who's at fault. Like, it's like, I don't know who to blame for that. Because, like, you know, one game and you only score one goal, like, but it's consistent. And it's, I don't know what it is. I want to say it's, well, I mean, it's on the players, but it's also very much on management again. Not getting depth. And I know they didn't have a lot of money to work with. Let's see what Kaching can do. Welcome to the party, Kaching. I know they didn't have a lot of money to work with in the offseason. And I was happy when they signed Bertuzzi for the amount of money they signed him for. Did he earn it this year? And hell, did he earn it in the playoffs? He got like 2 points. No, he didn't. But I feel like I can't be upset about a decision I also would have made or I thought was good at the time. Oh my god, what are we doing? These AoEs are just kicking me down. And I mean, yes, in a way, it's on management to be more intelligent than me. They should be able to see this stuff coming. But, well, like I said, I can't get that upset about that situation occurring. The decision I would have made, the Max Domi thing, I probably wouldn't have signed Max Domi for 3 years. Or for $3 million for 1 year. But also, like, I get it, it's fine. He also had a very good playoff. Let's be honest here. He stepped up. He wasn't great, but he centered that first line and was adequate. He's not the problem. You want to blame this thing on management, and it's hard to blame on management because, like, look, I'm not a big Treliving guy. I am a Dubas believer through and through. But, like, they didn't pivot. They didn't get the depth. They didn't get the depth pieces. Like, I think... That's dumb, by the way. I hate that I missed that turn. I think that asking management to get another... Find another Bunting is ridiculous. Bunting was... So Michael Bunting was a winger the Leafs signed for league min who ended up being a pretty good player, could play on the first line. To sit here and go, hey, Treliving, you didn't find, you know, a player that could plug in for cheap like that, and that to be his fault, like, that's hard to put on him. But also, that's your job. Would have been nice to equip that heat axe. Problem would have been solved. But that's your job. But anyway, I digress. That's not that bad. That's not the issue. The issue is they gave a 1 year, $4 million contract. They spent $4 million of their rather limited cap resources. Oh my god, on a defenseman who was on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't even remember who the heck he is. That shows you how I am plugged in. Alright, Yisha, I need something. Blaze spell became level 3. It's something. It's more than Wendy has brought to the table. Let's be honest here. Bunting's not in good shape. Bunting, the things that are on my mind right now. Stock is not in great shape here. We're gonna hope we can get him a heal in here with Sig and be okay. But, and it just comes down to depth. And the Leafs not having that depth in scoring. And their stars not being able to carry the series. And I mean, part of that is firmly on the stars. They need to step up. Specifically, Mitch Marner. I know people tend to get a little... Oh, Stock's gonna die. This is it for Stock. speaking of disappointing players, still. Alright, good, you hitting Sig, because you guys could team up and do a lot of damage here. Speaking of disappointing players, Mitch Marner was once again pretty much nowhere to be seen in the playoffs. And that's not necessarily fair to Mitch. He kept good possession. He wasn't a negative asset on the ice or anything. His game has not translated into goals. And part of that is on Mitch. But part of that is the lack of depth that I have been talking about. So, Mitch Marner, in I think it was Game 7 or Game 6, or probably multiple of the games, let's be honest, would make these passes into the slot, or make these beautiful setup plays, or get plays set up. And then, all of a sudden, who would he pass the puck to? It would be Edmund. And, Edmund's a quality defenseman, but he's stone hands. He's not the one taking those shots. And I mean, you could look into this and go, hey, were the Bruins giving him those shots? Were they giving him those passes because they knew that Edmund, and why can't I remember his freaking name, couldn't convert? Maybe. But I mean, if Mitch is making those passwords to somebody else, a Gustafson, who plays for the Rangers, who could have been had for league min, he might bury those. Edmundson, not just Edmund. And then I know a lot of people are also upset with John Tavares, and I mean, for good reason. Like, he didn't have the best series, but he's also old. Like, his window to be at his best was 3 years ago. Every year he's getting worse. And he's old, and this is what we assumed would happen when we signed him. But also, like, aside from his scoring numbers, I think he had 2 points in the series. Aside from that, like, he drove a line. He, was completely adequate. There just wasn't enough there. And every year you can complain about the officiating and whatever, but this was not a year to be complaining about officiating. The Leafs had more than their majority of calls go their way. Nothing to really complain about there. So, what happens next? Well, they fired Sheldon Keefe, which I think Sheldon Keefe is a good coach. I just think, how many kicks at the can does a man need? His time is up. And, one of the things that's always said is, like, it's easier to change a coach than it is to change the makeup of the team. And, like, the time to change the makeup of the team was last summer. Because, coming into this summer, Mitch Marner now has a no-trade clause. And I mean, that is not the ironclad thing that it is. You can trade people with no-trade clauses. You say, hey, we're going to waive you, or hey, we're going to trade you, and they generally go, yeah, that's cool. Or we're going to put you in the minors, or there's lots of things you can do to work around that, but you're not going to have the same power that we would have had last year. Also, like, I'm going to deal with this Pixie before he does some damage to us. I don't know why. He's hitting for one. Kind of dumb. But, like, coming into last offseason, it was a little, like, black and white, or these guys will hit Nick for one, so what are we worried about? I was a little like, hey, we had some leverage. We don't have to get rid of this guy. But it's kind of like, coming into the offseason now, like, I feel like, in a way, they've lost their leverage. Everybody knows they gotta trade Marner now, so they're not going to get the return that they could have. Not that I think there's a big return. Like, one of the reasons we'd be trading Marner is to get the cap space. But, like, here's the question. So you get the cap space, what are you going to do with it? And I don't trust Brad Treliving, Mr. I gave $4 million to a defenseman I still can't freaking name. I want to say he's Jyrki Lumme, but that is because I'm an old man. He was a defenseman for the freaking Vancouver Canucks in the mid-90s, and he's also Finnish, just like this defenseman is, and therefore I am also freaking... One Scandinavian is another Scandinavian. They're all Scandinavians. I actually think... oh my god, why can't I freaking think of his name? I also think... he's Swedish and not Finnish, like Jyrki Lumme. Never thought I'd be talking about Jyrki Lumme on this freaking podcast. Good for you, Nick. You're the hero. You got to go in there and get things done. But I don't know where they go from here. And the frustrating thing about all of this is the team's good. And, like... to act like they didn't take... Of course. Oh, Claude. You're very much a Birdman. I say that because he takes a lot of damage. But to act like they didn't take Boston to 7 games and lose in OT... You know, that's asinine. That's what happened. It came down to a coin flip. This could be a team with 2 second-round appearances in a row. Now, do I think that they could beat Florida? No, but it's hockey and crap happens. Like, and this has been the thing. Like, it's been, I think 7. I did the math. Like, the night of Game 7, it's been like 6 straight years of Game 7 losses. Or Game 7, not 6 straight years, 6 to 7 years of Game 7 losses where, you know, either... they've done really good, and the series have come down to a freaking coin flip. So on one hand, you sit here and go, hey, this isn't working, we need to change something. But on the other hand, it's like, they're a bounce away from winning every series they've been in. They have not gotten blown out. They have gotten blown out in one series, and that was Florida in the second round last year. And even then, I know a lot of people don't want to look back at it this way, but they outplayed Florida in the first 2 games of that series. They should have won. 2 of the games went to OT, like it was a 5-game series, but it was not. It was not a... This team ran them over. Like, they were there. But, you know, it's like, after so many years... something's got to change, right? And that's kind of where we are. Something's got to change, but do you give up? Do you say, hey, there's no chance and rebuild? Because the thing is, like, a lot of people like to compare this team to the Washington Capitals. And go, oh, they got so far, but they lost every year until they won. And in some ways, the comparison is accurate, because they are a team with high-end talent who hasn't got it done in the playoffs. And you know what? I was gonna poo-poo on this. I was gonna say this is a bad comparison, but I actually think it's a fairly decent comparison. I'm gonna fall back on it. Now, everyone would argue it's not the right comparison because Washington won rounds in the playoffs. They always round and lost in round 2. And I get that in a sense. Hey, you got to win. And like those losses to Columbus and Montreal hurt, because those are series they 100% should have won. There's no excuse for them losing. It's not like some of the other series where like they lost to Tampa and Tampa went on to win the cup or make the final, or they lost to Boston and Boston went to the final. Or I mean, I say the Montreal series is unforgivable, but Montreal also went to the cup finals, but it should have been the Leafs. Like, they should have beat Montreal. But also, you say that they should have beat Montreal, but Tavares took a knee to the head in the first game and was out. And they still have enough depth that they should have beat them. But, like, oh, see the frustration? There's enough excuses there. And back to the Washington comparison. Because I know my mic did not pick that up. Might not have picked it up a second time any. The Capitals comparison. And people say, hey, the Capitals won a round. Well, I'm going to tell you something about the Capitals. For a long time, and I don't know how long this is, but for a long time, the Capitals were in a division called the Southeast Division, also sometimes called the South Least Division, because it was the weakest division in the NHL. So while the Capitals were a good team, they were made to look better than they were because they would always win this division, and this division had crap people in it. Crap teams. You know, kind of like the Canadian division that the Leafs ran roughshod over and then lost to Montreal. You know who else lost to Montreal when they had a really damn good season? It's the Washington Capitals, who are also up, I do believe, 3-1 in that series. So, like, I'm all for changing something up, but at the same time, in a lot of ways, you just got to be good enough. Let's get this Heat Axequit. 51. You're on this 2 overkill. We're getting some FF7 over FF7, FF10 overkill here. But, like, a lot of hockey is a weird sport where sometimes you just have to get into the playoffs and get the bounces. And, you know, we tear it down. We don't get into the playoffs. We don't get those bounces. But the opposite side of the argument is maybe they're never going to get the bounces the way the team is built. And it's frustrating because who knows what's right? Who knows what the right thing to do is? Do I firmly believe this Leafs team, if they replayed that Boston series, could have beat Boston? Yes, especially when you remember, you consider that Matthews was out for games 5 and 6, which, I mean, admittedly, they won. But Matthews was out for 2 games and hurt. Nice, a +3 defense on Cushing. And hurt in games 2 or sick. So, like, Matthews not in tip-top shape. Best Leaf player single-handedly could have won them. Saying single-handedly won him game 2 is an oversight. But, you know, him being out cost them games. Speaking of people being out and costing teams games, William Nylander hurt. Migraine headaches. What is that? What is that randomness? Migraine headaches. Out for games 1, 2, and 3. Comes back for game 4. And I mean, how much, what kind of shape is he in for his first game back? But comes back, scores 3 goals in 4 games. You don't think having an extra goal in game 1 or game 3, or just having that extra depth to push lines matters? It does. But, you know, as we've talked about, we're 7 or 6 years into this. At a certain point in time, how many chances do you get? And is it negligent to keep trying? And is it negligent to keep trying and making the same mistakes that you've made? Like, somehow we decided to pay William Nylander $11 million a year. Don't get me started. William Nylander is my favorite Leaf. And he has been my favorite Leaf. You know, hell, ever since he showed up. And everyone was always going on about how great Marner is and how great these people are. I've always been in the Nylander camp. And I'm very sorry he didn't get 100 points this year, because I was very happy and excited to hold that over on Mitch Marner. Mitch, I've had 99 points in a year once, but I haven't actually broken 100 points. Mitch Marner, I was very I was excited to hold that over people's heads. But nevertheless, it didn't happen. But not having... Now these guys are older. Their best days could be behind them. Like, Matthews scored freaking 69 goals this year. Do I think that's going to happen again? No. This is the peak. This is him. Mitch Marner, he's getting old. Everyone's getting old. John Tavares, this is his last year of an $11 million contract. I am very happy I have managed to take this map and clear out everything and come in with this kill for Nick, who's going to be, by the way, the MVP, because he has just been a tanky boy throughout this whole battle. Kills the boss, Leaf Talk over, depressing time over, Shining Force forever. Bazoo was right. You are no ordinary warriors. The Shining Force legend is true. Who is that? Is that Guyan? That's not Guyan. That looks so much like Guyan. Hey, hey! Gates, why are you in such a hurry? They are killing one Gardenian captive for every one of Bazoo's soldier you defeat. Oh shoot, then the force is done. We must free them. Nick, let's go. Gates, the gladiator, has joined the force. Well, you just assume he didn't actually join, did he? Cool. Gates, you're here. Let's do this. Are we going to storm this castle, or are we going to have a nice little... Look at the little flame hanging out. Well, if you're watching the video on demand of this, I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll edit this, and it'll be live in, I don't know, a month, because that's how long it takes me to freaking edit anything these days. I have no time. You guys have a good one. Adios. If for some reason you are watching on the stream, and who does that, I do edit these and post these on my YouTube channel as we go along. Right now, we're just making sure this recorded with no issues before we save. These videos and these recording sessions have really become few and far between over the years. Our save is good. We are going to save here. Become few and far over the years because I have been a busy man with life. But I want to thank you if you're watching on the stream, Miss Moonchild Chicago or whatever, if you're here. And you guys have a good one. I also never check my chat. I'll check it after I leave. No streaming anxiety here. Later.